Choosy by nature. Choosy by nature. I saw somewhere where they said that you may look like your mama or your daddy, but at the end of the day, you're going to look like your choices. At the end of the day, you're going to look like your choices. Good morning, everybody. It's time for Morning Manna, and certainly have a word for you on this morning. It's all about impartation on this morning. I've been dealing with this whole thing about, wisdom, direction, and all of that. On a couple of days ago, I just talked about how the children of Israel was up against it. The chariots of Pharaoh was behind them, and the Dead End Sea was in front of them, and they had to get to it before they could go through it. And then I talked about decisions and decisions, as you know, the other day, yesterday, and this morning. I just want to continue this whole flow. Choosy by nature. Choosy by nature. You may look like your mama and daddy, but at the end of the day, you're going to look like the choices you make. That's what we're talking about on this morning. What a great morning it is, live and in color on this morning. Schedule is here, there, everywhere, having to manage everything. So sometimes I have to record. You got to get Memorex. For those of you who don't remember Memorex, but for those of you who do, but not this morning, live and in color. I want to just get out, greet some folk, and then get right into the manna on this morning. Choosy by nature. Choosy by nature. Good morning, Ella. How are you? Minister Yolanda, how are you? Ramona, how are you? Gerald, how are you? Brother Nesbitt, how are you on this morning? Got it right this morning. Joel, how are you on this morning? May, how are you on this morning? If it's your first, second, or third time joining us this morning, please let us know who you are, where you are talking from or connecting with. We want to know so we can shout you out on this morning. Good morning, Vaughn. How are you? Brenda is in the house. Good morning. How are you? Carolyn is in the house as well. I don't know how you two always connect at the same time. Must be that sister thing going on. Good morning, Jacqueline. How are you? DK is in the house. Good to see you on this morning. Good to see you on this morning. Elder Mobley, how are you? Vicky, how are you? Anna, how are you? Ann, how are you? LaFawn, how are you doing on this morning? This morning, if you're just joining us, I said it at the very beginning. You know what? You may look like your mama or your daddy. You may favor them. I hope you do anyhow. But at the end of the day, you're going to look like the choices you make. Going to look like the choices you make. And that's what we're talking about this morning. Choosy by nature. Good morning, Deborah. How are you on this morning? Cynthia, how are you on this morning? Did you like that wrap up of the Bible study on last night? I didn't see some people. I ain't throwing nobody under the bus. I wouldn't dare do that, Deborah. Good morning, Bobby. How are you on this morning? Good morning, Pamela. How are you? Kimberly, how are you? Deborah, how are you on this morning? Francine, how are you all on this morning? Thelma, how are you on this morning? Bishop, you said, Bishop, you throwing stones? No, I'm not throwing stones this morning. No, I wouldn't dare do that, Deborah. Sims, I wouldn't. Good morning, Elder Jan. How are you on this morning? I can't help myself. Good morning, Victoria. How are you? Dan the man, how are you? From New Orleans, how about that? Okay. Linda, how are you on this morning? Ari, how are you on this morning? Dawn, how are you? Jewel, how are you? Verena is in the house on this morning. Good morning, Deacon Joe. How are you on this morning? Dolores, how are you? Happy belated birthday, one of our Morning Manna fam from my hometown. Dolores' birthday was yesterday. She was 21 years old. You believe that? Good morning, Minister Sent. How are you? It's good to hear you guys on this past weekend. How about that? All right. How about that? Good morning. Wait a minute. Okay. Let me let Manna fam know. All right. Okay. Brother Nesbitt lost a cousin. Amen. Praying for you now that we know. Lee, how are you doing on this morning? Let me say a couple of more, and then we get into the manna on this morning. Peggy, how are you doing on this morning? It's all about this. It's all about, I said it at the very beginning. You know what? I hope you favor your mother or your father, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you're going to look like the choices that you make. So let's get into that and let's see what the man have for us on
Good
this
morning and welcome to Morning Manna, where in 5 minutes or less, you're going to get an impartation with the text, the talk, and the takeaway. Join the Morning Manna fam every weekday morning at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Don't forget to put in the chat the revelation that you get and share the manna. Now, let's get ready to have some manna so you can make it through your day.
make it through your day. Here's the text. We'll give you the talk, and then there's a takeaway. Proverbs 3:6. You already know it. Hear it again for the very first time. Make some application with this. In all your ways, not some, not a quarter, not a third, not half. All your ways, acknowledge him. And guess what? He will direct your path. I recently saw on social media how, in fact, there is a choices that are made. They have all of the women in this particular one. It could have been men in the others, but in this particular one, they had all of these young ladies on the stage in a church or wherever, and then they put below it, would you choose a man who just got saved? Would you choose a man who doesn't have a job but is saved? Would you choose a man if this, that, or the other? And as they went down the list, the number of women left on the stage dwindled. The whole idea was about choices. And when we look at Proverbs 3 and 6, it is too about choices. He said, in all thy ways, before you make a choice, acknowledge him. Every path you take starts with a choice. Yeah. The problem isn't that we don't have options, it's that we choose without consultation. It's not that you don't have options, you choose many times without consultation, without acknowledging him. That's what he's saying. The proverbial writer is saying in this wisdom book, if you will. God never said you had to figure it all out. Never said that. He said, acknowledge him and he will help you with the choices you make. Some of us get frustrated, not because God is silent, but because you then choose and check with him afterwards. Yeah. You make a choice and then you check with him afterwards so that he might come in and confirm it, might come in and bless it. Mm-mm. In all your ways, acknowledge him before you make the choice. Decisions determine direction, and direction determines destiny, and destiny is the sum total of the choices you have made. When you bring God into the decision, into the choices you make, you invite him into the outcome. But guess what? You can't complain about where your feet lands when you never made him a part of the choices before you leave. That's right. It's three things I want you to get from the wisdom writer who is saying, in all thy ways acknowledge him. The first is this. The first is this. Consult before you commit. Consult before you commit. I do, in addition to being the senior pastor of one of the best churches in all the world, I do consulting. And one of the things is that when people come to me for consultation, I then bring to them some solutions. But with God, you have the best consultant in all the world. How about consulting before you commit? Don't make permanent decisions without divine input. Two, guidance follows surrender. Guidance follows surrender. God directs what he allows to lead. God directs you if you pull him into the choice. If you don't, then here's the third thing. Here's the third thing. I want you to get this. Um, if you choose without acknowledge, then you are responsible for the outcomes. If you choose before you acknowledge, then don't weep and cry for the outcomes. Understand something. The choice is yours to pull him in. Know that, though, the consequences you can't handle. You can't manage the consequences. So it's better to pull him in on the front end before you have to deal with the consequences and choices that you made on the back end. What's your takeaway this morning? Your takeaway is this: let God in the process of the choices you make so that you can live with the consequences. Let God in on the choices you make so you can live with it on the consequences from the choices that you make. The Lord be with you today. May his face shine upon you and give you peace. If this bless you, bless somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. I'll see you tomorrow morning with more Morning Manna. I'll be giving you a trailer of the sermon for Sunday and more and more. God bless you. Share the manna. Don't keep it to yourself. Bye now.